Got it.
Yeah, so it's great to meet you. I love your story. There's so much going on, and I want to begin our journey into your life by asking you, in April of 2020, we were just starting to get a handle on this whole pandemic thing. How
Hmm.
did you survive that time period, and how did it change you?
Oh, that's a great question. It's one of those things where I remember specifically when things started shutting down, and we all thought it's just a few weeks. Like this is no big deal,
Uh-huh.
right? And then the weeks kept going by, and I remember that being for me a very pivotal point because I realized 1 month, 2 month, 3 months as it kept going and the hysteria growing and the social media, everything's going crazy. I realized then that as someone who's been susceptible to like depression, anxiety, things like that my entire life, I said, this could be either really good or really bad for me.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like one of those things where I had to make a very intentional decision to no matter what was going to happen, no matter what was going on around me, coming back to, am I safe and are my loved ones safe? Yes. So those are the only things that I can control within my sphere. And then the second thing that I decided was I will not allow myself to fall into another depression from here because that was prime time. Like literally, you can't go outside. Well, you could go outside, but you can't see people that you were used to seeing. You can't communicate. There's all this unknown stuff going on. All of that uncertainty could very easily have taken me down this spiral that was very familiar. And I said to myself, this will not happen. I don't know how long this pandemic is going on, but I'm going to take this time, no matter how much time it is, with all this time on my hands and be productive, and I'm going to do things that are going to feel good for me. And that's actually in 2020 during the pandemic was pivotal for me because I was always a yo-yo dieter, gaining and losing the same 20 pounds over and over again. I decided I will lose my weight for the last time. I'm going to figure it out. And I don't have a gym, can't do that. There's a lot of things I can't do. What can I do? What do I have here? And I took all of the learnings that I'd had from my previous certifications and all of this, and I said, I'm going to create a program for women just like me to lose weight for the last time. And I tinkered with different little things here and there, and I figured it out. And I figured out exactly what to do from my basement with like random dumbbells, random barbells, just like whatever I could get. Because even then, you couldn't even order equipment. You couldn't even order a lot of things because they weren't being produced at that time. And I just got really scrappy, and I said, I'm going to figure out how to lose weight the easy way, the way that it doesn't require anything external and just everything with me. I'm going to figure that out. And I did. I was able to lose the weight. And then I created my program from there that I have now taught hundreds of other women exactly how to do from home or the gym, whatever you prefer. But all of it around this idea that none of it has to be complicated and you don't need a lot of external things to make yourself feel good and to be healthy, because that's really what it comes down to, especially during that time when we're like, we got to stay healthy. It's not only what you're looking like, it's what are you feeding yourself, what are we couldn't even go out to restaurants, so we're cooking, we're doing all these things. So even getting back in the kitchen and getting back into what are foods that I like, what are foods that I want to try, all of that happened for me during the pandemic. So I know it was tough for so many people and so many different variations of loss that so many of us experienced. And I take that, and I don't say this I don't take this lightly when I say, for me it was a great time to get recentered and to find myself and to figure out how I wanted to live my life. And if this went on for another however many years, is this like, what can I do to create peace and happiness within me and not outside of myself? And that to me was a great turning point. And I don't think it would have happened if I would have still been working and going
Yeah.
and commuting and doing the 9 to 5 and all of that. So that's my spiel on the pandemic.
I love it. So let me get to the heart and soul of what you do right now. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders. It's career day. And one of the kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?"
Yeah.
How would you answer them?
If my son were answering, he would say, she's on calls all day. She's in meetings all day. But what I do for a living, I am a life coach, health coach, and weight loss coach for millennial women. So what that means is I help high achieving millennial women in their 30s and early 40s that want to lose weight, want to get healthy, but don't have a lot of time to go to the gym, don't have a lot of time to be Martha Stewart in the kitchen, maybe have children, maybe are single moms like me, maybe just have a lot going on and they want to be healthy. They don't know where to start. They don't know how to even, they haven't been to the gym since college, so they don't even know what to do there. They don't feel comfortable within themselves. They don't feel confident. They're super successful in every other area of their lives. But when it comes to being healthy and when it comes to losing those stubborn pounds, there's something that they feel like they're missing. And it's either I can't stay focused, I can't stay consistent, I can't stay motivated. Those are the things that they usually come to me with. But what we do in the container is so much more transformational because what I like to teach is not a diet, not calorie counting, not macro counting, none of that. Really, it's a lot of what goes on in between our head and working on the inside out. When you feel great on the inside, you will emanate looking and feeling great on the outside, no matter what that number on the scale is. And that's what we work on. So if for my offer promise is you'll lose 15 pounds in 90 days or less without counting calories or anything like that. But the deeper work that we do is really getting to the crux of how do we get here and how do we never get here again?
Yeah.
How can we establish your lifestyle in a way that supports you instead of it being, oh, I just have an extra thing to do. Now I got to worry about this too. How can we make your life work for you instead of against you? That's the deep work that we do. A lot of the work I do is nervous system regulation because a lot of high achieving women have a lot of high anxiety and have their nervous systems are a bit dysregulated. How to bring that down because as long as your nervous system is hijacked, you can't lose any weight.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of that inside work to get the external results.
So what did you want to be in the 3rd grade?
Yeah. I wanted to be a singer.
Okay.
I wanted to be Mariah Carey.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Did you sing? Did you get on stages?
I
Yeah.
did. I did. I sang quite a bit. I lived in Los Angeles for about 10 years. I moved there after I graduated from college. I had a demo deal and was trying to get signed, but this was early 2000s. This was
Yeah.
when the digital age was just starting. I'm aging the hell out of myself, but when the digital age just started and things really started to change. But yeah, I wanted nothing more than to be just like Mariah and when I lived in LA, did lots of singing, lots of auditions. I really went into that a starving artist lifestyle, being a bartender at night, spending time at the studios during the day and in the evenings, and loved it. So that's what I always wanted to be.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I just remember hearing Mariah specifically, and her lyrics were so profound. Even me as a as an 8-year-old, like what do I know about love takes time? Thing.
Yeah.
But it was just something about the lyrics, her voice, all that moved me so much. And I was like,
Yeah.
I want to have that effect on someone else.
Yeah.
Little third grader me really was thinking
Absolutely.
was thinking about that, but it's always stayed with me. I
Yeah.
think that's why I became a coach, actually.
Well, and you got into HR too, so I'm curious, you're paring down this approach to being simple, but HR is
Mhm.
full of all these layers and so much
Yes.
goes into it. How
Yeah.
did you go from that philosophy and that daily grind into this more pared down philosophy of helping people get there?
Yes, I love this question. So, I went into HR because I've always, kind of coming from, being a third grader wanting to be a singer and change the world. I've always wanted to help people. I just know what it's like. I grew up an only child. My sister died when I was very young, and she was also very young. She had cancer, and so I remember feeling so alone my entire life. And for me, it's this idea of I know what it's like to feel lonely and alone, like no one has my back, no one understands me. I've always wanted to be that person for even if it's just one person. So I got into HR after it was kind of one of those things like once I decided that I wasn't going to be a singer because I ended up getting pregnant with my son, I decided what else can I do that can still help people?
Yeah.
How can I still be out here in a way where I can contribute somehow? So I fell into HR by kind of doing some soul searching there. And the thing with HR is it's great in theory, but the reality is the HR team is there to protect the employer, not necessarily the employee. And that was something that I learned the hard way very quickly into my career, because I'm very big on right and wrong, and I want to make sure that equality and fairness is a really big thing for me. But that's not our role in HR. Our role is we'll listen to your complaints, but at the end of the day, we are protecting the company.
Yeah.
And that didn't feel right after a while. That didn't feel right. And that's why when I decided to really dive deep into coaching, I felt like I found home because it's just between me and the client. It has nothing to do with anything else external. There's no CEO making millions and millions somewhere in his lake house. Meanwhile, the person at the bottom of what we consider the totem pole is struggling to pay their bills, and
Mhm.
there's nothing I can do about it, right? It felt very helpless at some points.
Yeah.
And that's why going into coaching, it felt actually the transition was very natural because I'm so used to being there and listening to people and listening to problems and helping find solutions. But this time, the impact is palpable. This time I remember when I did HR, I've done the gamut of everything. I've interviewed probably 1,000 people in my career. And I just remember being able to give someone the job offer that they've always wanted. That felt great. Like that was one of the few the gratitudes that we got as an HR executive. But the work that I do now every single day
Yeah.
is inspiring, and it's touching someone, and it's a trickle down effect. And that's why I love being in alignment now with where I am. But I don't think I would have had all of this experience had I not gone through
Yeah.
all of that other hard stuff.
True.
So none of this is in vain.
Yeah. No, I dig it. Yeah. So let me ask you this. Who's been a hero and inspiration for you in your life?
Oh, a hero. I would say my biggest inspiration has been, my dad. My dad has always been there for me to make sure that when I have fallen, 'cause I've fallen many times, when I have fallen, it's been in a softer spot than had he not been there. He has this calm, quiet confidence to him that I remember when I was a child looking up to and wanting to be just as chill as my dad was. And then now that we're adults, and now as adults we look at our parents and we realize that they're just people, they're just humans. I watch him with my son now, his only grandson, his only grandchild, and I can see that he did all of this stuff, sacrificed everything, came here from a third world country to create a life where I could fulfill my dreams. And because of that, and because he never gave up, and because he worked so hard until he was able to retire after 30 years working in his position, very, very boomer. Very much of like, you work one job. He definitely doesn't agree with a lot of my career
Yeah.
changes, but he did all of that for me. And for that, I'm super grateful, and I look to that as far as how I raise my son now, of making sure that he has every single thing he's ever wanted and needed, because I want to make sure that he also pays it forward when he has children. And we can all see, generation wise, we were a generation of people who worked really, really hard, loved really, really hard, and made an impact in someone's life.
So, as a singer, as someone that clearly loves music,
Mhm.
what's one of the first early best shows that you ever saw with your own eyes?
Oh, actually, strangely, I saw Mariah.
Nice.
Mariah was my first concert, and tears. I was just crying the whole. I just couldn't believe that I was in the
Yeah.
same, just breathing the same air as her. But again, it was because of the passion. The passion that she sings with. And to me, that's what music's all about. To me, the music is all about, doesn't matter what genre you like. I like all the genres. There's to me, if the message, the lyrics can touch me, I don't care.
Yeah.
If the song makes me want to move my body, because to me, I feel like music really embodies and can get into our soul. I don't think anything else in this world can do that except for music,
Yeah.
right? Just get you
Yeah.
and gets to you, get you to feel any emotion, can get you to move your body even if you don't want to. Like music comes on, I can't help it. I'm just
Yeah.
I can't help to do a
Yeah.
little shimmy or something.
Uh-huh.
Nothing else has that effect on us as
Yeah.
humans. And I think that's what makes music such a healing modality and such a beautiful way for us to connect.
So you have to dole out really good advice to clients. What's the best advice that you've ever gotten?
Oh, this is great. Okay. So, as I was becoming a certified life coach, it was a very rigorous training that we had. And we had to also get coached because we had to be a product of our products. And I had a life coach that was coaching me on some shenanigans that I was dealing with at the time. And what she said to me was so simple and so profound, and it stayed with me forever. And she said, "It sounds like you're really upset. You're really frustrated. You're so angry. There's a lot of suffering going on." I said, "Yes, absolutely. I'm so painful." She says, "Well, but why are you choosing suffering?" And when she asked me that, I didn't even have to think twice. It came almost like from my subconscious. My response was, because it's all I've ever known.
Yeah.
And that to me was like the turning point. She didn't even have to say anything else. It was for me realizing that I was choosing to look at this situation in the worst possible way. And there are always two ways to look at something. And our brains very naturally are negative bias, right? They're biased towards negativity. We're always going to default. Mine just happens to default all the way to the bad side. And then I have to reel myself into like, no, no, let's be neutral. Let's be
Yeah.
happier. But when she said that to me, I realized it was so profound for me because I said, for the majority of my life, with all the tragedies that I've had from losing my sister when I was 4, losing my son's father in 2015, losing my mother in 2016, all of these things that have happened in my life that have been so traumatic and so painful. Yes, that is fine, and I can feel that, and it can be all of those things, but I don't have to stay there.
Yeah.
I don't have to stay and identify as someone who's just miserable. I don't have to identify as someone who's just so used like, I'm so used to being miserable, I'm just always miserable, that's just my default. I realized that I was choosing that life, and that's in that moment I said, "And if I've been choosing suffering this whole time, I get to choose to stop."
Yeah.
And I chose that day. I will no longer be a victim of my own life, of my own circumstances. I no longer will suffer.
Yeah.
Things will happen, of course. Things have happened since then where I have suffered because it's been painful, but don't live there. The lesson for me was stop living there. You can
Yeah.
choose to not be like that. You can choose to just think a little bit differently. Not all the way, not positive fairy airy fairy stuff, not all the way over there, but just a little bit different. Right, even just finding the little bit of what's the lesson here, even that can help, and that was the most transformational advice that I was given. It wasn't even advice, she just asked a question and I just came up with the conclusion, but it was just the idea of we are in control of how we think about our lives,
Yeah.
and if you think your life is hard, it will be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you think it's you can create whatever you want, you can. And it goes further than just like manifestation and all of that. It's just truly the reality of if you're only focused on the negative, you will never see the light.
Yeah.
And that was so profound for me.
So you get the chance to do that for clients. What's one of your favorite client success stories so far?
Oh gosh, I have so many. I love my clients. One of my favorites is my client Amy. She was a single mom. She is a single mom with 2 children, 2 small children. One was like an infant, like 6 months oldish, and the other one was about 3. And she came to me. She was postpartum and all of that. She wanted to lose weight. She had her father of her children had recently left her with these 2 small children. She was very, very sad, very depressed. Worked on a lot of that emotional stuff. But Amy put in the work, and she showed up and she lost 30 pounds in 3 months. And it came off so quickly, and it just everything just worked beautifully. Even though she was going through so much. She had a
Yeah.
broken heart. She was a single mom struggling with 2 little ones under like the age of 4, and just like the sleep schedule and all of that. She didn't let any of that stop her from choosing herself and choosing to get healthy for the sake of her children. And to me, like, her story is so inspirational for so many moms. As a single mom, I have the softest heart for all my fellow single moms, but also just like those of us that just have to deal with so much. And we're parents too.
Yeah.
And we have to work and we have to do all these things to be able to commit to yourself and to make that change. And your entire body, life, identity, everything changes when you drop 30 pounds,
Yeah.
right? All of a sudden, you're not the same person person anymore. You're not in the same clothes anymore. There's a whole identity shift that occurs there. And that's also a big part of the work that we do is now that you're in this smaller body, who do you want to be?
Yeah.
But that's one of my favorite stories because she put in the work and she could have very easily said, "This is I just have too much going on. I just the kids didn't let me sleep last night." She could have easily said that and it would have been justified, but she didn't. And I
Yeah.
love that for her. And I call my clients my butterflies because I see them. They come in as, scared little caterpillars and then they bloom into these beautiful, just like whoever they always wanted to be, they become that person. And that's why I love what I do.
So of all of the things that you've done in your life, what are you the proudest of?
Oh, my son.
Yeah.
My son is amazing. He's 12. He plays travel baseball. He's an excellent player. He's ranked really high in our state of Maryland. And every weekend for 10 months out of the year, we're at tournaments or games. But he's not only an excellent athlete, he gets straight A's at school. He's
Nice.
so kind. He has so many friends. I He's just such a kind human being.
Yeah.
And I often look at him and I'm like, I must have done something right here because
Yeah. Yeah.
must have done something. So he's the my pride and joy.
So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you run the show. What's
Yeah.
your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think that I am a person that has so much love to give. I love I love hard. I'm a Leo through and through. Love hard, super passionate. I love helping people. I am a helper. I am a healer. I am a servant to my people. I am a mother to my baby Christian, even though he's not a baby anymore. I'm just a really passionate person who wants to help as many people as I can become their best selves, whatever that means to them.
Yeah.
Because again, kind of going back to the story of, why do you keep choosing suffering? I wasn't living my best. I wasn't being my best because I was so stuck in that mindset. And now that I can see that so clearly, even in the moments when I fall behind and I kind of start spiraling, I get to remind myself, who do I want to be? And who I want to be as an inspiration and who I want to be as a strong person that has been through a lot, has been resilient, has gone through it, but is also helping other people who have been there as well not feel so alone
Yeah.
because I know that feeling.
So speaking of the help, if anyone wants to hire you, learn more about you, the good business, where do they go?
Absolutely. So they can check out my podcast. It's called Uncomplicating Weight Loss and Life. And then you can also go to my website, eva.fit. I have free resources on there. You'll get on my email list and they can book a call, work with me. And all of it is totally like the first call. We can talk, see if we're a fit. And if not, I'm one of those people, I'm a big believer. If I can't help you, I'll definitely refer you out. I have a huge network of coaches and therapists and all of that. So definitely love helping people as much as I can. And if I can't help, I say that I can. And if I can, I'm more than happy to. But come join me, listen to the podcast. I give lots of advice on there about just like my philosophy and just how to uncomplicate. The reason why I call it that, how to just simplify everything so that life can be a little bit more enjoyable
Yeah.
because it's hard enough as it is. Let's make it
Absolutely.
as enjoyable as we can. While we're here.
Amen. Eva, thank you so much for your story, for your time. It's a wonderful one. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much, Joe. It's been a pleasure.
Best of luck.